Go and open your book to page 506. This section is on solving quadratic equations by completing the square. So in the previous lesson, you learned about the square root method, right? So when you have the perfect square, you take the square root to undo that, right? But so now in this section is learn how to get to this point. That is called completing the square. So learn how to get to that point. So once you complete the square, then you can take the square root to do that. Okay? So let's go to example 1 on page 507. Example 1. So you got x squared minus 6x plus 1 equal to 0. Now this one you cannot solve by factoring because this is not factorable if you try to use master product. So again, that's the reason you want to learn different methods, because the factoring method does not always work. Okay, so this is how the complete square work. First, let's get rid of this number. So minus 1 on both sides. And make sure none of your equal sign. And leave a blank space over here. So leave a blank over here. The next thing you want to do is you try to get into a perfect square. Okay, get your template ready before you start to fill in blanks. So your next step is you have to go backward. Okay, so remember before we learned how to multiply, right? Right? When you square, you get that, right? So you go backward. So from here, in order to get that, you need to get x, right? See, the x squared will give you that, right? And remember, this is the FOIL method. This is the F, and this is the O and the I, right? Remember the FOIL method? Okay. So, and this came from multiply this together, right? Again, we did a lot of these, right? So this is going to be half of that. So from here, you're going to get minus 3. And you can check, right? 2 times negative 3 times x give you negative 6x, right? So right now we're just going backward. So from this information, you get that. From this, you get that. Okay? And so in order to have a perfect square, you're missing, the number that you're missing is plus 9. So that's what you're missing. Okay? So you get that. Because you need to have a negative 3 squared, right, to get 9. So that is the number that you're missing to get a perfect square. So you need to add 9 onto it to make a perfect square. But because you add 9 on this side, you see the equal means you have to do the same, right? So if you plus 9 over here, you need to plus 9. And therefore, your net result becomes 8. Okay, so that's how you complete a square. So once you complete a square, then you do like what you did before, right? So I'm going to write it again so it's not so messy. So that's what you have right now. So this is a perfect square now. Okay? So now you can go and use what you learned earlier. You take the square root to undo the square, right? Again, to undo the square, you have to take the square root so they cancel out. So you got x minus 3 equal to plus or minus, and I'm going to simplify that into 2 square root of 2. Again, we already did a lot of these, so you should know how to do this already. And the next step, I'm going to plus 3 on both sides. So I got x equal to 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 2. And that's my answer. Okay? So the key is know how to complete a square. Okay, so let's go to example 2. On a test, I would require you to do it by complete a square. So make sure you follow the instruction. If you use the wrong technique, you're going to get 0 for that problem. So you must know the technique. So example 2, you have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equal to 0. And you want to solve by complete a square. So again, first, let's get rid of this number, because that is not a correct number for the perfect square. And then I'm going to go and get my perfect square ready. So in order to get that, I need to have an x over here. Now you don't have to draw the arrows. I'm just drawing it so you can follow what I'm doing. Okay? So again, from this, I can get that, right? Because x squared will give you the x squared, right? Then from here, I will get 5 over 2. Again, this is always half of that because of the square, right? You multiply, right? 2 times negative 5 over 2 times x will give you that. Okay, so again, from this you get that, from this you get this. Then once you get this number, you can figure out what the missing number. So the missing number that you need to have, you need to square that. So negative square is plus, and square, when you square, you just do the top and bottom separate, right? So 5 squared give you 25, 2 squared give you 4. That's what you need to add to get a perfect square. So because you're adding these on this side, you need to add the same thing on the other side. So you get your calculator, you add this together, you get 1/4. So you can use your calculator if you don't know how to do it manually. And I'm going to write it one more time so it's not so confusing. So I can take the square root. So again, right now I have a perfect square, so I'm going to undo the square by taking the square root and put a plus or minus. So I get x minus 5/2 equal to plus or minus 1/2. The next step, I'm going to plus 5/2 to simplify, to solve. So I get x equal to 5/2 plus or minus 1/2. But now, notice it's the same kind of number. That means you need to simplify these. And see, before you simplify, what you want to do is you want to separate the plus from the minus. So you got x equal to 5/2 plus 1/2. You got x equal to 5/2 minus 1/2. So separate your plus from the minus to simplify. And so you're going to get x equal to 6/2. So x equal to 3. Over here you got x equal to 4/2. So x equal to 2. And those are your answers. Okay, so again, this is called a complete square. Okay, let's go to example 3. Okay, you have x squared plus 6x minus 3 equal to 0. So first, let's get rid of this number. So make sure you have a blank space over here for the missing number. Okay, and get your template ready. So from here, you get these, right? So from here, you're going to get plus 3. And from here, you're going to get plus 9. Right, again, I don't draw arrows anymore, so you sort of get used to do it without seeing the arrows. Now, because you're plus 9 over here, you need to plus 9 over here, so you end up with 12. Okay, so now without the arrows, it's not as messy, so I don't have to write it one more time, so I can just go and take the square root here. So remember your plus minus, so this cancels out. So simplify this, I get plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Again, you can go off to the side to figure it out. Then minus 3 on both sides. So I get x equal to negative 3 plus or minus 2 square root of 3. Okay, now this one, that's it, because these are different kinds. So you cannot combine to simplify. Unlike over here, see, these are same kind. So these are like terms, so you can combine by separate and you can simplify. But these are different kinds. So you cannot combine them, so leave it alone. So this is it for these. Okay. Okay, so let's go and do some practice.